Welcome back to the Paladins Pro Circuit, guys. Shout outs to Finch for joining us on the Paladins side of things, but I'll be your host now, joined by my good old friend Kresnik. What's up, man?
Oh, doing pretty good. Had a little break after that first game, and I'm definitely excited to be back in
Mhm.
in the hometown, back in North America to watch some games, watch Sanguine play, see if Tea Party can recover from what I would call a struggle from what they've gone
Yeah,
through. I would say so far this season. Sanguine, just looking at the fact that they have to play against them here in NA, it is I would say it's a big ask for them to perform against Sanguine, considering other than against Team Project, honestly, Sanguine's looked dominant against all the other teams they've played.
yeah, I agree with that too. And Tea Party, like you said, I've been a little bit on a struggle bus here, and we see that really just in motion on Tea Party's side. It's just 0-6. They haven't been able to win a game really off of anyone. Sanguine
Mhm.
just keeping that pressure on and just overall being a sort of a menace. Them and Team Project have been leading a lot in terms of this, in terms of these games for sure in North America.
Yeah, and you can even see the league parity there. It's straight mirrored all the way down. We're asking for the sixth place team to play against the second. But Tea Party, I mean, they have talented players. They have people we've seen be successful in the past, and Sanguine are all fresh faces, so maybe they have a chance. They do take out some of the wider maps that might favor the backlines. Sanguine like to play a little bit more. But starting on Stone Keep, I'm assuming this is Sanguine's pick because this is their favorite map from what I can tell. It's almost always the first map that they want to go to.
Yeah, it is definitely it is definitely a tried and true. It is a map that a lot of teams
Mhm.
pick, and I mentioned it when I was on the cast with Finch, just saying that this is like the dust of Paladins, right? It's a map it is that people pick quite often, and they always feel super comfortable on it. That's why they want to be able to try and make sure they can play it. But Eevee actually gets banned here. We've been seeing a lot of Eevee bans today more than anything, but not really so much on the Zen and Koga train either. Why do you feel like that is? Is this just another one of those? Is she even better than those two? Is that why you don't want this high mobility flank?
Well, Sanguine has two console DPSs, and it's really common, I think, for console teams to ban Eevee just because on the controllers, on the hitscan champions, definitely harder to counter Eevee out than Xin or Koga. Their mobility is a little less bursty, a little more all over the place, so you just ban Eevee, you ban Inara. Sanguine literally banned these two champions almost every single map, so not surprised to have them do it. Definitely just something they don't like playing against, but Tea Party, taking out this IO, something that I hope doesn't see the light of day for most of the rest of the day today, excuse me. And Moji on Stone Keep, she just controls whatever side she wants to fight on. And Sanguine love having this off flanker, pseudo off tank kind of role. Moji slots into that perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. I really, really well. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if anything it is that I'll say has validity, right? Because I mean, that's just my girl, so I don't really know, right? I can't give analysis on that. I feel like at that point I end up being discredited. But we have the Bomb King and the Drogoz. Actually, we haven't seen him in quite some time. That's what's interesting to me. Terminus has been more of a mainstay this season, especially in these type of games. But the Drogoz here, that's what's interesting. Is it just the blast damage that they're looking for, or the verticality? Well, what is it?
I mean, he's going to bring both to the table. I'm just concerned about them first picking Drogoz that early with Viktor, Vivian,
Right,
Androxus,
exactly.
Leon, all of these things that are going to be painful for this Drogoz still on the table. Both of them also picked up by Sanguine. This is a dream draft for them. They love playing, obviously we know they love playing triple DPS, but Viktor and Vivian together specifically on Stone Keep has been something they really fall back to. It's great for controlling multiple lanes, make it really hard for the other team to be aggressive. And Tea Party aren't really drafting a comp that looks like it can get aggressive. Drogoz can spam, he can control some lanes, but he's not really going to be able to push into this just hail of bullets that's going to be coming out of Vivian and Viktor.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for sure for the Terminus to really try and see if he can be in a spot that doesn't allow him to get shot all the time, right? Even with Siphon, that runs out eventually. And the con is actually what they're going to go for here. The verticality is what he loses to, and they have that Drogoz, but still, that Drogoz is going to be under fire by that Vivian Viktor combo that we've been talking about, and Bomb King just being able to control so much. You finish that off with a Grover. Do you feel like that staying power is more than Maldamba's? Should Tea Party be worried here?
I would. I mean, you literally just gave Sanguine the dream
Same,
draft.
actually.
This is almost exactly what they want. Sans the IO, they have 4 people that are going to be poking a lane. Khan, who's going to be living on point. You can't really push out of anything. Big ask to this Cassie and this Drogoz to out-damage what Sanguine's bringing to the table. Tea Party might have a little bit more sustain, but Sanguine have such overwhelming damage, and that term is going to walk into constants all game.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a rough thing that we have to deal with, especially when we're going into a map like Stone Keep in Game 1, man. This is going to be rough from what it is that I see. At least from me personally, just looking at draft on paper, Sanguine have the upper hand. Tea Party are going to have a bit of a struggle trying to make sure they can actually get in, especially against a Bomb King. We already mentioned Viktor and Vivian enough, right? But it's just going to be rough. It's going to be a hard one to try and fight for sure.
Yeah, and I think they have kind of a mismatched draft here because they have Drogoz, Cassie, double support. That to me screams we're playing outside. We're not going to be contesting inside the keep. We're going to be keeping our distance outside. But then they have a Terminus, and he's going to struggle a little bit once that he has to keep his distance. Instead of being brawling inside, slowing down that Bomb King, they're giving up the inside to Sanguine, who we're going to be poking out of every single entrance if that's how they want to play it. You can already see the 5-stack cometh towards the top side here. Terminus will be on point, but Terminus' weakness is getting surrounded, and giving up keep is giving up being surrounded for free.
Oh, we already have the Commander's Grab coming out and stunning out that Terminus as well. The Crippled Axe actually goes out and manages to lock down 2, roots both of them, and they are able to actually not only take out 1, but multiple targets on Sanguine's side. This is what we were talking about, man. Just too much pressure to have to try and deal with. Maldamba's fighting for his life right now as Vivian wants a piece. She goes around to help out Poison, just adding on extra damage more and more. Cassie rolls to the corner, can't hit those shots. But Gogert's going to find more than enough time to be able to get rid of that Cassie and keep her off and away from the point, or even trying to regroup. Don't even think about it.
I mean, even with the trade, it was still fine. They got all the dismounts they needed, and the pressure, they realized they can't touch. They send Terminus to try to peel, but now they're caught out, completely surrounded. Rkuhl pushes one lane, Poison watches the other, but Terminus, the Siphon, blocks an infinite amount of damage from one angle, puts himself in just the right spot. This aggression from Sanguine is great, and it's exactly what they have to do. Lock down sight lines. Vayne also playing alone, tries to walk at the Viktor, just gets shredded. And now with no tank, Sanguine can take all the space that they want.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough for them to try and round these corners, especially with Drogoz. You see him just being all the way in the back too, like not even, well, I shouldn't even say in the back, just around a corner. He's hiding, trying to find shots or an opportunity for him to get something started. Actually went for combustible this go around, finds the damage. That's going to be a lot of damage off of that fire spit. Manages to lower the health pool on the Bomb King, but is it still enough? That might be the case because Tea Party is able to get that last hit on Wadu as he gets thrown really and just gets unfortunately dealt with. Going to make it a little bit harder for Sanguine to try and find their opportunity. Unless Bomb King's hitting bombs like this around the corner just a little bit, but still Sanguine are going to try their best to hold on.
It was good play by Vayne, actually, forcing Wadu to grab him at a bad time, but 2 picks from Sanguine. You try to get aggressive, but there's just so much poke on the side of Sanguine. Literally, what lane can you push? Bagel just tries to get off the mount so he can heal somebody, but with no tank alive, Terminus still 3 seconds out. Nobody on that team can touch the objective.
Yeah, I already used the barrage, keeps them locked in their base, dude. It is so rough to try and deal with this type of composition. We had talked about it before during draft, man. That's why I asked the questions that I did. How do you feel coming into this? Do you feel scared? And you went yes, and this is exactly why. I would be scared too.
Me personally, or from the perspective of Tea Party?
From the perspective of Tea Party. From the perspective of Tea Party. They should be scared. And for good reason. You're seeing it right now. 2-0 already for Sanguine. Really just dusting their hands off, dude. It's so hard to try and find your opening in this scenario when you're just getting pressured like you are.
I mean, your solo tank loses the matchup to their solo tank, and your healers, they're doing a lot, but by having these double healers, you're doing about the job of the Grover, but he's also outputting damage, and you just put yourself at such a big disadvantage in the damage department. Look how much space Vayne has to just surrender. Once his Siphon is done, and it doesn't even need to be done because he'll get killed right away, they just can't keep that space held whatsoever.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, I don't know, man. At this point, you try and fight for viability up in the just in the keep, up in heaven, and you're getting situations like this where rKuhl has an opportunity to just feel that much more easy. Terminus just ignores him completely, tries to go for the last hit, at least on the Bomb King, but still goes down, has the res, triple kill for Poison. Shield comes down, they use the King Bomb as well, maybe a little bit too early, but that doesn't really matter when you have control in the way that you do. You're just keeping this pressure on so many of these different targets, man. It's so much harder to try and make it through this scenario, but they're at least able to get the kill by Banana. 60% for Sanguine. And Wadu's just chilling on the point, man. He's not really doing much of anything.
He doesn't need to do anything. I mean, Ghogert is solo tank Vivian basically right in front of them next to that whirlwind. Finally turn contests, but he's already dead. These DPS have a burden to bear if they want to be able to keep this fight going.
Oh, that's a good king bomb as well. Doesn't really find it smart. Well, actually gets the stun on a couple of people, or who doesn't get stunned actually gets forced out and away from everyone else, dude. Just so rough, so difficult to really try and get through this scenario or try and push through this onslaught of damage it is they're having to deal with. Just triple DPS in this situation is just way too hard to try and get past, especially when you have these characters, Viktor, Vivian, Bomb King, forcing these guys out, and you see it right now, they're just in the spawn, they're chilling, they have to vibe there. They don't want to, but I mean, if they move anywhere else, they're just gonna get vibe checked, like that.
I mean, look at that. Yeah, but Vayne tries to make some space, but goes down right away. I think they're just relying on Aspect to maybe get a trade on the far right side, but where does he go? He's hiding on the outside. Gogert's pushing him. He finally brawls out with rKuhl and actually does get a trade. That's a great opening for them. But Aspect, it's all on him to find more, honestly, but Ancient bears the burden himself.
Yeah, actually gets the Commander's grabs on the Terminus. The Dragon Punch does find his mark. Ghogert was going to try and jump off of the side anyway. He was just dead. Couldn't really get out of that scenario. They're really just trying to keep this Terminus at bay as much as they can. Wadu watching more of the Cassie so he doesn't actually go down. He's going to back up through time and space, force out the Commander's grab, and that's going to be a nice little Calamity Burst from Terminus to make sure he gets that damage off and finds that last hit on the con. Siphon's still going up, but Dom was able to keep him alive. They see him in the back. They know that they're there, and that's why Ghogert turns attention there. Gets more damage off on them, forcing them away, and they're finally going to be able to get the kill on Terminus and the Drogoz. That's 2 down and 5 up on the side of Sanguine.
And everyone else can't contest. They all have to back up. Still 2 healers and a Cassie. Vayne will be up in time, but he has to push into so much, and he immediately gets overpowered.
Yeah, gets overpowered, dealt with, and everything in between. The Whirlwind comes out to counter out any sort of damage that they may have tried to do at the very end, and Sanguine with a 4-0 victory. Clean sweep. Barely much of a chance for Tea Party to even try and come through and put pressure against their opponents.
I understand wanting to draft to your strengths, right? You want to go for something that maybe you feel comfortable on, but I think you can't force something that early. I will say, though, that Drogoz that I thought was going to struggle, Aspect got most of the kills on his team. He got 3 more kills than the rest of his team combined. That's impressive, honestly, on itself, and doing decent in the damage department as well, but again, the overwhelming damage coming out from Sanguine, and the only tank being Wadu, who once you pressure him, he shouts, he dashes, he runs away, so many ways to escape from that. They just didn't have an answer to the draft that Sanguine brought, and I think you have to decide how much are we going to draft for our comfort and how much are we going to draft to take away from them, because you can't give Sanguine a draft that's so well suited to them like this one is.
Yeah, you express personally your concern. You're concerned mainly with the first pick Drogoz. You don't know if you really agree with that or not. And I was agreeing with you in that situation, and this is why. You give yourself an opportunity to really just counter yourself out almost, right? It's like you put a lot of pressure on this Drogoz, and you just draft the Viktor Vivian. What else can that Drogoz do about that situation? Most of the game he had to spend it hiding. Couldn't really peek around these corners or do what he needed to, so it just ended up being rough overall for Tea Party.
Yeah, it was definitely hard for them to break through, but that was Sanguine's map. I mean, maybe they're just thinking, we'll give them what they want on their map, build up their confidence, and then our map pick. Ooh, that's really where things are going to heat up, and Jaguar Falls is where they want to heat up. Love seeing this map again after what happened after the rotation out before, but now that it's rotated back in, we are going to be able to see it again. A map that I think it's very rotation heavy. You have to play either on the other side of the enemy team or meet them depending on what kind of draft you have, and because it's so flat, not a lot of verticality needed. You can play anything. You can pull out the Lex, the Moji. You play more or less whatever you want, as long as you can execute it to a high enough level.
Yeah, and that's what's going to come down to is the execution. And Isle's actually going to be gotten rid of in this phase of the bans. Very first ban that actually ends up coming out is going to be the Isle. We've seen her versatility throughout today. And that's definitely a testament to her skill and power that she has, especially in this current meta. But they actually get rid of Inara. This is very interesting. It's a very interesting way to actually try and ban this Inara too. I mean, I'm not too sure. We haven't really seen Inara much of today. We've seen her, but not very much.
Yeah, and I think she's actually stronger than before with some of the buffs to healers. Inara, I think, scales true. As healers do. So when you have a really strong, Damba being better, Io being even better, pair that with an Inara, it's going to be doing great. But Sanguine, we're not going to see Inara this set. Sanguine stick to their guns. They're going to ban that Inara EV. Tea Party do switch up that Moji ban to ban the Bomb King instead. I don't know how I feel, honestly. I feel like this is a map that's even better for Moji than before, so you might be giving that to Sanguine and they can run away with it, especially if your first pick is a Tyra. Tyra's only really good against those divey comps, the ones that can get really, really aggressive. You use that DR from Mercy Kill to stay alive. Sanguine are just going to take whatever they want, maybe play a little more defensive and make that Tyra kind of expose it for not being able to poke as hard as some of the picks they have.
Right, exactly. I mean, you first picked that Vivian to answer the Tyra, but Sanguine are still thinking about their second pick, and that's going to be a Vivian Jenos. Opportunity and Chaos with that Luminary buff is going to be really strong. That's already hard to deal with as it is, and I know my boy Ghogert being emoji stan, but it seems like Tea Party's trying to draft or at least grab that emoji away from him. But it's actually going to be Maldamba. This is very interesting. Like you said, it's anything said can really go on this map. So I would be a little bit more cautious, especially after the earlier performance we saw in the emoji during Jack Falls.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would have been good for them to pick up here potentially just to take it away from Sanguine, because anybody on that team can play Vivian and play it to a high level. I feel combining the Jenos with it too, now that Opportunity and Chaos has been nerfed down to 10%, you're basically getting it back up to its old pre-nerf level. You're saying, oh, well, you know what? We really liked how that felt, so we're just going to keep doing it.
Right.
That's just how we can and want to play the game. Getting the con again, too, on this flat map is going to help a lot to stop the pressure from the dive. Double support, Tea Party, they need to have an explosive end to this draft, I feel, if they want to make this draft work on this map.
I agree. They're going double healer, so maybe a Barik potentially. I mean, I'm not too sure. They still haven't picked their frontliner yet. You got a lot of staying power. And Dredge. Dredge is going to be the draft. This is bliss.
It's not good into what Sanguine have, but I'm just happy to see it. I guess I'm less happy to see it now, but I don't think it's going to do particularly well. I guess so. I think it has potential. This has been a great map for him in the past, but this, to me, it's probably going to be Scuttle. I think Scuttle, good into Vivian, because you can hit under the shield with the explosion, but the Androxus will just fly over it. Nessa's interesting. I think snipers can work on this map once you get to the offense, and also if you manage to play on the opposite side. If the Khan puts himself in the way of where Tea Party are trying to rotate, trying to push, the Kinessa can work. They just have to find a way to keep Tea Party off of her.
Yeah, I'm a little bit thrown for a loop here with this Kinessa. I mean, on Jag Falls, me personally, I don't see the versatility in that. You have it there, but I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see if that really is the case in this Jaguar Falls map, dude. Because Kinessa is that's questionable. To me personally, that is questionable, especially on this close-up map.
It's a little better than Strix, I think, right now, potentially. Strix can quickscope you, but Kinessa can blink over walls, get away if she does get pressured, if positioned in the right spot. And I'm pretty sure that Sanguine aren't going to make it easy for them to walk into Cool. With Eagle Eye potential as well, burst damage to burn people down will definitely help. But very heal denial light on the side of Tea Party, to put it bluntly. Three Havens, only one Cauterize coming out for Vayne. Even though it is only the Jenos healing, you have the True Grit from Kinessa giving her healing, you have Wadu's Battle Shout. There's ways to get healing that kind of ignore it and right away to Kinessa, already showing that, at least on mid, it's going to be tough to push her, chunking that Barik for 2,100 damage.
Yeah, it seems like actually Vivian is going to be the first one that goes down, gets taken care of in this situation. Wadu has to step off a point because of that Dredge spam, dude. That left click being super strong, especially broadside as well, just making sure that it's harder to stand where you need to. Ancient actually gets a piece and takes care of that Kinessa. Poison and Wadu are the ones that are remaining at least close by the point, pumping out damage and swapping as many targets as they possibly can. Poison sees the target in the Tyra, actually gets one more dash out, heals himself back up a little bit more, and the fight has been turned on its head, surprisingly, with a nice Ghogert double to follow that up. Oh my goodness.
Even after that start from Asdf getting that early kill, they just couldn't withstand the pressure on the sides here. Straight walking up here to onto Asdf. Dredge can hold this back, and Ghogert knows that. He can't keep that fight up. Dredge stays alive, but he's not making any space for his team to get into the point.
Ooh. Yeah, this is looking a little bit rough already at the start of it. I was a little bit taken aback by the Kinessa against that Dredge, just being able to make sure he can lock off areas just by clicking, right? But, I mean, it's just opening up. So many doorways of possibilities are just being presented to Sanguine, and they're able to push in so aggressively. This Kinessa actually pulling through very, very well. Gets that immediate pick on one of their healers. They still got one more left, but look at the pressure that Wadu and the rest of Team Sanguine are able to actually put on. They're able to pretty much put on a clinic right now, dude. They're stuck all the way in their base. Poison's just floating right on over, gets a couple shots on the Vayne, and they're just making sure this pressure never stops.
Now that they're all the way back in spawn, this is where the Kinessa is really going to open up, potentially. Dredge almost surviving through that because of all that hurl sustained, but just not enough. Wadu also almost dying to the spawn door, but like I said, cool, look at this positioning so far back. They have to touch the cart. They have to walk into the sniper sight lines.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Looking rough for Tea Party here, especially when you got a minute 30 left, and that's where the payload is. Jumps up, gets a shot. rKuhl is able to put a lot more pressure on their support probably than they would like in this scenario. Changes targets to Barik. They're trying their best to do what they can, but he's going to be picked off. Poison just falls back and makes sure that he defends his teammate. rKuhl's going to live to talk another day, find some more shots. Crossfire actually gets used. Poison's trying to make sure he can take care of Wadu. Finds his mark, found the target, make sure he delivers on the kill. And might actually force Poison a little bit back unless he wants to use the accursed arm. Getting shots on Dredge, forces the counter, but he still gets taken care of. Thankfully to good positioning from Tea Party.
And I think Sanguine is learning now why Dredge is very hard to kill, but maybe missing a harpoon or two doesn't get the healing. Ghogert gets two in the back, and Ancient can't stay this aggressive.
Yeah, they can't at all. Ghogert actually finds himself a nice little double kill and is able to actually sort of provide the pressure that he needs on this Vivian alone. The Kinessa is able to also last hit, make sure she takes care of those kills in the back too. It's just an overall onslaught. They've been drafting this 3 DPS at least from last game and into this one, and it's been working out for them extremely well. You still got the accursed arm ready and available. They can take their time. That's why they're backing off, not committing too much, but Wadu's going to get taken down. This could potentially be a point for Tea Party. They might be able to contest here.
Yeah, and I think they will with the spawns that they have. Asdf also getting some corner pressure from the pipes connecting onto rKuhl in the back. Aspect nice. Going down. That is certainly going to be the defense for them. I would love to see Asdf's build, to see if he is built into the sustain, which I think you have to do on Hurl Dredge. The real boon to running this Dredge is staying alive through it, and that is almost my build. He's got raw health instead, but Mortal Skewer max, Sea Dog's high up there. It makes Dredge almost impossible to dive. You get lineups, you can heal for 800 to 600 extra health. Top of the damage charts for his team too, not too surprising, but still not able to keep up with the DPS on Sanguine. Playing around each other really well, I think, but if they want to push through, they need to find a way for Poison to get in a little bit easier. Seemed like they're kind of relying on Poison, pushing through that flank side, the secret pathway, as some players call it, and finding something, but always just too much damage waiting for him on the other side.
Yeah, that is always super scary to deal with in terms of sustainability, but Sanguine aren't sweating it, and we can see that based off of the gameplay it is. They're able to actually provide. That Wadu shield gets melted instantly, which makes it hard for them to actually try and push through. They've got that Kraken that actually ends up being used. They find that early pick, but this is how it went last time, and Sanguine were able to turn it on its head almost instantly. Goes all the way up into the sky, starts yeeting more and more spears. Makes it hard for Sanguine to really try to respond, especially when Tea Party are the ones that control of the point. Cool, I almost called him Cool by like the previous name. rKuhl is going to be able to find not one but two kills. Ghogert is actually going to be able to find another one too, and they're able, like I said, this is how it started last time, man. They found those early kills, but it didn't matter because Sanguine were able to just turn it on its head.
I just don't like how Tea Party adapt. The start was great, but what did they do after that? They lost Asdf. They're like, oh man, our key for winning this is down. All right, everybody, status quo, and then they just get walked over by Sanguine, and that's what has to change, but the changes are only for the worse as Steve finds Asdf for the time and space.
Yeah, they're pushing in as much as they possibly can, or really trying to reclaim is what I should say. I shouldn't be saying the push. They should try and reclaim, but it doesn't seem like they can even do that much, especially with the pressure that is being provided by Sanguine right now. Tyra's already there, all the way around in the back, so focused on Vivian. Didn't notice the Khan sneaking up behind you. Gets a commander's grab, and the last hit from Ghogert swaps target. Opportunity in chaos. What a name, because they're able to find so much in this chaotic attempt at a retake that Tea Party are trying to perform, but they can't even do it. The cart's just pushing, and Jenos is just chilling. He's healing as many people as he can.
Yeah, and even after the range nerfs to Jenos' heal, he's still able to do it, even if he has to get off cart for even a second. And right now, Poison got a little caught out there. This is the split they need to have. They need to have people pressuring both sides, potentially stay away from Asdf, but collapse on him when you can. But Aspect, aggressive, somehow catches rKuhl at range and finds Poison too.
Oh yeah, we love to see at least just just like a swap, really, like a turntable, if anything, of just making sure that you actually can deal with their team. Aspect with a nice little double right there is able to get what he can, but Gogert's in a bad spot. He's going to get taken care of. And she pushed it a little bit too far, but almost got melted right there. Tried to target the feet, but not going to be enough because he actually still run away. 3 ultimates up for Tea Party, almost 4, but he gets picked off almost immediately. The overpower gets used, but it goes wide. Doesn't find its mark, actually. But that's still enough. Everyone else is just getting dealt with on Tea Party's side.
I think the overpower is actually used point blank just to stay alive, potentially CC immunity from the Dredge knockback because he got hit with it, but didn't look like he got sent anywhere. There's no way they can contest. Again, Rkuhl set up. What can Tea Party do? Nothing with all this damage coming in. Everybody who walks out gets insta-gibbed by Rkuhl on this Kinessa.
Yeah, and I mean, what doesn't get dealt with by Rkuhl, that's why Poison and Ghogert are there, right? They're also making sure they keep on that pressure. Rkuhl goes, oh, dang. I missed a couple of my shots. I may have hit one. I didn't manage to kill him. Hey, can one of the other 3 DPS in total that we have actually work out and make sure we can do that? And they say, all right, bet. And then they just move into the back line and just take care of whoever it is that they want to, right? That's the power of this triple DPS. And we're seeing it in a full force with a 3-1 in Sanguine's favor.
A big part of this, too, is that Rkuhl can stay in the back, be hard to dive. But look at Ghogert and Poison. I mean, they're running Androxus, Vivian. Those are not the easiest DPS to pin down and kill. You need to usually spend some form of CC or catch them between cooldowns. They're good players. They're not going to get caught between cooldowns. Ghogert running a lot of lifesteal on his side too, so even harder to kill now. CC being used to potentially burn down Vayne, but saved by the Dread Serpent maybe. He dives into the rest of the team, and everyone else is left on an island.
Dread Serpent and Illusory Rift are used to make sure that Barik lives and so that Wadu just doesn't kill them. They didn't get anything off of that, and this is the situation where you should be scared because you still have 2 ultimates up on the side of Sanguine, Headhunter, and the Accursed Armor ready, but Headhunter already busy hunting heads. Not 1, but 2, but 3 is what Kinessa's going to find. Nice kills by Rkuhl, and he's going to be able to make sure that his team is steadily pushing forward and just relaxing. Pulls out the drones, and Ghogert and the rest of them are ready to play, dude.
And they're aggressively zoning here with Vayne getting knocked off his mount. It's going to be tough for him to get back in, not even close to a dome shield. The Accursed Arm in the back line too, denying everyone else from touching. Vayne backing up. This looks like Tea Party might just be setting up for map 3 at this point.
Yeah, 84% to what could potentially just be the end here. They're not even going to try. Tea Party are not going to be the winners of this one. It's going to be another clutch win, or I really shouldn't even say clutch, another strong win for Sanguine, dude, another clinical one. They've just been able to keep up so much pressure, so much aggression was able to come out from the side of Sanguine that it was hard for them to really try and fight back.
And I like how Sanguine executed on their plan pretty effectively every time. They started walking into what Tea Party were doing, playing inside that sun area, waiting for them to commit and then diving on somebody, and then Sanguine just said, all right, well, let's just never do that again. And they never did. Every single time someone pushed out, they just got deleted by Sanguine surrounding them. It just shows the strength of how comfortable they are on this triple DPS composition. They know where they have to position to make it work and set up their Kinessa to get a point-blank quickscope 3K on check or false.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of... I mean, in this situation, okay, I'll eat my words. I'm sorry for doubting the Kinessa. Clearly, it was a good choice here. Able to keep up so much pressure. I really thought that he wouldn't be able to have as easy of a time as he would have, but you already see it right here, man. This is definitely the move to make, man. This is the person to try and focus on. Rkuhl is just doing so well on what seems to be a sort of unconventional pick for this map, is what I'm prefacing this as. But just on this map, I would not have expected to see a Kinessa. Maybe a Strix, but not Kinessa, right? But this is just a testament to the skill of these players and how often they're able to really just pull anything out of the back pocket and make it work for them. Be a little bit more unconventional, make it harder for their opponent to try and read them.
And being patient, too, is a big part of it, right? Because Rkuhl, he knows he can't really fight until everything's broken out because he can't afford to get focused. You see where they position around that Barik. Throw a Vivian on one side. What's he going to do? Stand on the side of the shield with the Vivian? He has to back up, take 3,000 damage in one shot from that Kinessa, waiting, set up ahead of time. Sanguine, they pick these unconventional picks, but they know how to make them work.
Right, exactly. And that's pretty much what it is that we have for right now. And Sanguine already up with a 2-0 lead. Will they be able to close out the set, or can Tea Party put a game on the board? Or you'll only be able to know if you stay tuned right after this break. Welcome back, guys, to the North American PPC bracket. Really interesting to see Sanguine actually pull out a 2-0. If you guys weren't watching, just like I just mentioned, 2-0 already for Sanguine. No points on the board for Tea Party, but we could potentially see maybe a better game here. Maybe they've tried to adapt to really this 2-0 situation that they were in. They were at least able to get a point last time. Bright Marsh is where we're going this time. Another up and close personal match for the another up and close personal map for what could be the last game. Sanguine's very on a tear right now against Tea Party.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that Tea Party picked this map after performing well on another flat map. It is a little different. There is a little bit more verticality. Defending is definitely less forgiving, I would say. If you drop down and try to contest the cart, you can't get back. You can't play near those spawn doors, and the sight lines are even harder to punish. But they did manage to get that defensive point. If they can do it there, they might be able to do it here. Definitely get why they want to go here. And I also definitely get why they're banning Vivian after how the last matchups went. I think with Vivian being played, kind of tearing them to pieces. Definitely makes sense to get rid of it. And that Viktor. You got to remember, that opens up the IO, that opens up the Bomb King, the Moji, the things that they were banning earlier. And those are champions that Sanguine are known to take advantage of. And I wouldn't be shocked to see some of them going real early here in this draft.
Yeah, Evie and Nara are going to be taken care of on Sanguine's side. While, like you said, they actually get rid of the Viktor, Vivian, like you and last game, just like once again, as you were mentioning, it's not a surprise that they got rid of that Vivian. This time, though, they're still, just like on Jaguar Falls, are going to make sure they lock in that Tyra. Vivian won't be the response from Sanguine, obviously, since it's banned this go-around. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to respond with it. They might go to some of those comfort picks like we've seen. And Bomb King is going to be the opening character, the second pick overall in the game, but the first one for Sanguine is how they're going to respond.
Yeah, and I think taking BK this early is great. He's great on this map, and Androxus is as well. Able to go potentially over the ceilings and chase vertically around a lot of places while also having great range. Play far away, do whatever they want, more or less. Surprised to not see IO go that early, but Tea Party really haven't seemed to have an interest in it. They've been banning it, but the Damba and another healer, could be Damba and IO here potentially coming out for them if this is where they want to end up. Having that Damba for healing and having that IO to capture the point, that will be where they go. I think mostly to deny it, play that double healer, something they're comfortable with. But it hasn't been working. Something else has to change. Maybe do stun Damba or something. If you really want to play these characters, play something that'll open them up a little bit. Kill these squishies faster. You know Sanguine's going to play triple DPS.
Right, and that's, I mean, you see it right there. You've got the Bomb King, the Andro, and the Talus available with the Tyra, Maldamba, Io. You got two healers again on Tea Party's side, but Terminus is going to be Sanguine's frontliner here. We've seen it before. And by before, I literally mean last set when we were really just looking at Brazil. The fact that these people were willing to start out with 4 bulldozers is what's important. You give this to a team that already likes running triple DPS on Sanguine's side, and you still lock IO into it. That's gonna be rough. It's gonna be hard to try and do that, but it's gonna be rough for Terminus to try and fight back against Khan too, don't you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think picking Terminus over Khan might just be Wadu wanting to flex a little bit, just to play something else here potentially. Maybe. Khan kind of bullies Term, but if Term just plays off the point, if he just pushes on the right with that Talus, with that Andro, siphoning for his DPS, he puts them in unlosable matchups, more or less, and then once they kill everything, go and fight the point afterwards. Just ignore the Khan at the very start.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, this is it, guys. I mean, this could be it. I said this is it, but we truly don't know if that's the case. The game's starting on Bright Marsh, but I don't know, dude. I mean, I feel like me saying this is it still ain't too far from the truth based off of how these games are going. And history repeats itself. Sanguine could be looking at a 3-0, and that leaves Tea Party with another loss. You'd hate to see that. I'm going 0-8 already.
I mean, it's going to be tough for Tea Party, I think, to withstand the pressure that could be coming out from Sanguine here. Even with a solo healer, they have some pretty self-sustaining flankers, I would say. Plus, the damage output on Tea Party is just so low. It's really all falling to AsdF, someone who we hadn't seen on DPS too much in general, to do most of the damage. Aspect, Tyra does damage, but she mostly is about living, withstanding the pressure coming in damage-wise, and it's all about AsdF actually getting able to kill things, burn things down, burn through these health bars on these characters that can sustain themselves, more or less.
Khan gets the commander's grab off, causes that Terminus to be stunned for a little bit. When Poison turns and looks, though, he's still looking pretty healthy. Can't say the same for the Talus, as Cool is going to get picked off by Master right there. And that's really important, especially when you're trying to fight for point control as you are. They're actually forced back a little bit more and away from the point. Tea Party is the one that control here. They got that pick that they needed. They're moving together as a unit just to make sure they aren't trying to lose another member. 45% to 21, though, not looking too great. I literally thought that somehow time had rewinded because the second person to die again is Cool Matt dying again. In the same manner, too. That's what's super crazy. They're able to get what they wanted to, but Sanguine are the ones that control. They're able to trade it out 1 for 1 this time, but now we also have Poison going down. That's not looking too great for them.
Yeah, and Tea Party have to rotate back to the objective right now just to keep it contested. And look at these DPS both on the side. I said Asdf had to play well, and he is, but they're getting collapsed on now, potentially. Runa travels out. Both DPS so far away from the point, they can't help this fight. Vayne has to give up ground, and Sanguine maintain point control.
81% to 72. This is really hard for them to try and make it out of this little room, especially against the Bomb King. Terminus is the one on point. King Bomb, the courts are really singing his praises right now. He's able to move on the point and get that stun on Vayne. It leaves him dead. Gogert's gone too. Dread Serpent goes out. Make sure the point is accounted for. Don't want to lose too much, but they're actually losing more than they probably would have hoped for. Luna sits on point, and Tea Party are going to be the first ones that manage to clutch that out on the back of a Dread Serpent.
Yeah, I was pretty good. Managed to catch the point because no one can move in and contest last second because of that potential stun from Luna. But the real winner there has to be the DPS, Asdf and Aspect playing on top of each other on the far right side of the map, making it real hard for them to dive, for them to pressure. But Sanguine, after those kills, after getting rid of Luna, they've already gotten so aggressive, using Siphon to stay alive. Health bars are down, the Grumpy's good, and they clean up both supports.
Yeah, 2 for the price of 1 in this case, and Poison's actually going to turn around and make that a 2 for the price of none. A nice double kill from Poison, and a potential zone is really, really looking good for Sanguine right now. The overpower is there, but when Terminus be able to make it back, he won't. Tosses him just far away enough so that he can't jump back. The stun comes out from Domba all the way in the back line. It's going to hit Poison, and they make sure they clean up that kill. Tea Party are now trying to turn things around, and Sanguine are forced to be on the retreat.
I mean, a minute already been burned out here, and Sanguine, they want to collapse, I think, on someone who's alone, whether it be the supports, whether it be a lone DPS. That's what they have to do, and they might have found someone back there. That aggressive Talus dive Ancient gets completely isolated, and they force the be gone. They turn their heads, and the King Bomb comes in.
Yeah, it does. You already find so with a double kill, another triple kill for the King, man. Already looking down at the Tyra. Make that a quadra kill for the Bomb King, baby. Already making sure that just as they feel that little sense of hope, Bomb King is able to take that away from them. Poison really popping off here and setting up for the rest of his team to be able to do good things from their perspective.
Trust me, never shocked to see Poison popping off on the Bomb King. He is always played well with this team. I think they make a lot of room for him. Again, just diving with a Talus opened up the world. They all looked away, and they keep giving Poison this character too, prioritizing the console picks to take away. Really aggressive defense from Sanguine. They're not zoning perfectly, so they have to move back. Asdf walks right into Gogert's waiting arms.
Yeah, Cool and Ghogert find a pick apiece, and that's going to be 2 people down on the side of Tea Party. 3 ultimates up for them, 1 ultimate up for Sanguine, but they have, on both sides, they have ultimates building up in the works. Commander's grab goes out, gets that stun, but still no ground loss from Sanguine, really. Probably going to hold on to that Resurrect. They're just trying to burn the time that they have here, which is why Poison is pushing up now, trying to be aggressive. Actually, Poppy bombs them away. They weren't going to make it back anyway, but they're able to get a good zone off, and Sanguine are going to make this a 1-1 for them.
Yeah, it makes Poison look a little better for sure, getting that last little knockback at the last second. I actually didn't even notice that Ancient killed Cool there, because I was staring at Poison just absolutely obliterating here on the flank side. This is going to be a little bit harder for Tea Party, though. Now that ultimates are in the picture, I don't think theirs are super impactful. True Power isn't really particularly from Sanguine, but they have a Corset Arm, they have King Bomb, which you've already seen have explosive benefits, and Reanimate. It kind of comes down to the overpower from Vayne. If it's not huge, this is a much harder game for Tea Party. If they need to pull someone out of their fight, not get cleaned up is one of the bigger things by everybody on Sanguine who's going to just rush in immediately after that overpower. And even if you pull, let's say you pull Wadu and you kill him without throwing him, he's just going to reanimate and it's lost. It's a big ask for Vayne to really find something impactful out of this overpower.
Yeah, they're going to play a little bit more back here. Don't want to commit too much, but now that they found a potential pick, they're going for it. They managed to get the kill onto Vayne, which that's huge for Sanguine, as they're the ones now in control of the point. Luna gets dealt with, and that makes it harder for them to even try and push in. Talus actually ults all the way off into the back line, tries to get somebody, but it gets picked off as Poison is finding a different focus on the people up at high ground. King Bomb gets used once again, finds the stun. The Battle Shot gives him damage immunity, but he's still stunned, still gets dealt with. The Illusory Rift at their backs and more pressure. Terminus is eating that entire, he just has the Siphon up in that entire Tyra ult. That's super hard to deal with. Dread Serpent goes out, but may have been a little bit too late as it has to be used defensively, and Sanguine are going to cap the point.
I mean, Wadu just made so much space. They just couldn't deal with him in time.
Yeah.
Wadu just split all their attention. The crossfire that was meant to reach the objective just couldn't because of that pressure, and Cool, cleaning up on that damage, finds 2 more. Tea Party, they're staggering themselves here, and this is the last thing you want to do. There's no way out here for Aspect looking at a Terminus Bomb King. So the respawns from Sanguine will come in. They'll be able to settle back down, figure where they want to push this out. With other cooldowns coming back, with the Route of Travel available, Sanguine, they can move up and try to stagger Tea Party even further.
Yeah, a minute and 50 still remaining, and despite that, I'm breaking up the time because of how far the payload has moved in such a short amount of it. Ghogert with the double kill, nicely done, makes that a triple kill. Andro popping off the Wild West, baby. With that revolver really pulling out all the stops here on their side. They actually use the overpower, doesn't find the mark either. A minute and 30 still remaining with the clock ticking down. The payload's only moving more and more up as it's almost made it all the way to where it needs to be.
And Sanguine just do so much damage that they almost have their ults charged again. If they can just chip down Vayne and capture this in the face of all of them, they'll have almost all their ults up for the mid. And look, Ancient placed Luna behind the tree, not forward. The DPS have to contest, and they both go down.
Yeah, this is looking pretty clinical for Sanguine. They find one pick, they find another. Defense is not successful, but the push is. Sanguine, man, already a 3-1. Hard to really try and make this happen because of it's just all the DPS. I mean, you have Ghogert on the Andro, you've got Cool on the Talus, you've got Poison on the Bomb King, and it's working out for them. When one fails, the other 2 are able to clean it right back up.
And you can see how much they're being enabled by Wadu there at the last second. That triple that Ghogert got,
yes,
sick aim,
absolutely.
but then you see he's literally just drenched in purple the whole time. As Wadu's is positioning himself to keep his team alive, and that's what Term really gives you in these games. Just lets you enable your DPS, lets them win duels, and when you're giving your team such one-sided duels, and you also have overwhelming damage on the other side of the map, that's what really kind of opens this composition up. And saying with that Master riding, they're already getting aggressive, and Vayne is struggling, already below half HP.
Yeah. His shield gets broke immediately, and he has to back off of this situation. Cool's going to be the one that finds Vayne, though, and also finds Ancient all the way into the back line. They already got so much pressure on. Ultimate gets used. Quadra kill for Talus. We got a pentakill, baby, on Bright Marsh with Cool really popping off here. My goodness, the Talus pulling out numbers in this case and dismounting so many. This might be it for Tea Party. The nice pentakill and more pressure coming out from Sanguine Esports. 87% to a 90 and steadily climbing. What else can you do? You can't make it back to point, and that is it for a nice 3-0 from Sanguine Esports.
What a play there at the end, and I was actually about to criticize him, because after he got that penta, he must have been so excited he just didn't turn around, and Vayne actually almost managed to mount past him. If Vayne had pushed left, he actually would have made it to the point, because he was so hype about it, but still, sick play by Cool following up there on all the pressure they were doing. What a draft by them. It really played right to their strengths. Cool's got to also be happy about that penta, because it put him back to being positive near the end of that game. So hard to burn down a Talus without having an overwhelming amount of damage, and even after Asdf had a great start, he kind of fell off, and once that happened, he just couldn't control Cool and Ghogert anymore.
Yeah, it was a lot harder to try and deal with those targets when you have just so many angles that are being taken care of, especially those choke points. Poison was just aiming at not only whoever he felt like, but a lot of those areas that were closed off, exactly like I'm mentioning right now. Right here is where Bomb King can thrive at, man. So much AoE damage, a triple from him, a penta from Cool, dude. And a triple from Ghogert as well, man. I mean, they were working. It's just like a well-oiled machine back to back. They were creating so many situations that really just posed a threat for Tea Party to try and manage to make a comeback from. It was hard, man. I mean, you couldn't really do much else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And this is kind of, I mentioned this last time we watched them play, but this to me is what shows how hungry they are for these wins, more or less. The fact that they're syncing up so much, this means they're coming real hard to each other, trying to make sure every single play is put together the right way. It's not something that every team is doing, but they're willing to do it because of all that energy that they have pushing for it. So look at the schedule for North America here. Snappin' taking a 3 over HP OfficeJet as well, and Team Project establishing their dominance, continuing it at least with a 3-1 over Flashpoint.
Yeah, overall, just you see threes all across the board, of course, because it was a best of 5, but also you look at the opposing player's side and a bunch of 3-0s, like 1-3-1, like it's just cementing themselves as really the top seeds. Project and Sanguine doing extremely well. I mean, Flashpoint were at least able to take 1 against Team Project, but still at the end of the day, the seeding has not really changed. You got Team Project in first, Sanguine in second, Flashpoint in third, and then everyone below that. Snappin', HP OfficeJet, and Tea Party that we just saw actually playing actually can't manage to find a win, and that's going to be unfortunate for them, honestly.
Yeah, actually, big thing for HP OfficeJet, losing to Snappin' puts them below them in the standings, actually, near the bottom two. I believe that has something to do with relegations later. We'll have to see once we get a little closer to that, but that was actually a huge loss for HP OfficeJet against that team. We'll have to see what that means to them moving forward. Should be able to watch that match some point in the next 2 days on the community broadcast.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that is where we're going to be able to see during the community broadcast, as well as thanks you guys for watching everything that has been around today. Paladins Pro Circuit, super awesome, great talent. We've seen so many different games from 3 different regions, Europe, Brazil, and then we just ended on NA. Thank you guys for sticking around. It'll be broadcast tomorrow on Paladins Game on Friday and Saturday. So be sure you guys manage to come around for that for sure. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern time for sure, if you guys are very interested in being able to watch those. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us, and I think you can peach it, Tyler.